So the Obamacare question, you recently raised your revenue outlook for 2014 by $1 billion. Is that because of what's been happening with enrollments?
No.
No. Okay. So
it had to do with Medicare.
Okay.
So we had a lot more Medicare enrollment than we even anticipated, and so that revenue number approximates pretty much the Medicare growth that we had that we didn't anticipate for 2014.
You know, what does that mean for earnings? Will you raise your earnings? I thought you kept it within the guidelines.
We did. I mean, it's too early. We don't have any data on who enrolled, where they enrolled, how old are they, what kind of comorbidities do they have. And so until we get more data on the individuals, it's a little premature to raise the earnings target.
If Medicare revenue for you is going up, what does that say about the country writ large, or is that an issue?
It's Medicare Advantage.
Well, it's Medicare Advantage.
Your program.
Right. So it's our product within that set. I think there's some movement in the industry. I think the overall industry is up about 1.5%. But I think if you look at cohorts of individuals retiring, people retiring now are more than likely to pick a Medicare Advantage plan because they're used to working with managed care plans. They're used to those kinds of networks versus people that are over 70 who, hold on to that red, white, and blue card with, for dear life because it's what they always have.
The Democrats tried to crush Medicare Advantage plans.
Right.
Why? And now that the rates are going up a little bit, now they're blaming it on the insurance companies. I mean, can you just tell me exactly what happened without sugarcoating it?
Medicare Advantage is too big now.
And people want it. What was the point of trying to crush it in the first place? Because it was an impediment to single payer?
I'm not sure. There are different points of view about that across the Democratic Party.
Was it too good for people, or it allowed the private sector too much weight in deciding health care?
4 years ago, Medicare was paying 114% of Medicare fee-for-service to managed care plans to manage the population. And what we were doing, in essence, is we were competing for older individuals because we were getting a risk adjuster. And those older individuals, we were caring for them better, so they were generating more margin as a result. And so that whole program caught the eye of the Democrats.
They couldn't stand the private sector making profits on.
Well, they were wondering why they were paying so much. And so now we're down.
People wanted it, and it worked well. They tried to kill the goose that laid the golden egg.
Now we're down to 106%, and we're headed toward 100. And I think once we get to that point, and the program continues to grow, the fodder for killing the program disappears.
Well, that's interesting. See, the surrounding has not changed my viewpoint on socialism, Andrew.
I see that. I see that.
It's in the air, but I think it was a disgrace, the way that was done. No?
We managed our way through it.
Good. In spite of the government, you're doing okay.
What is your latest read on the website, if you will? That is Obamacare.
So I think too much is being made of the website. We all have website failures from time to time. This was a particularly big problem. But I think really is the program working behind the website.
Okay, so what about the pool?
So right now we see that only 11% of the population is actually people that were formerly uninsured that are now insured. So we didn't really eat into the uninsured population. So is the program working? We saw people that were very adept at shopping. And so economics always works. And so if I can find a cheaper policy versus the one I already have in the individual market, I'll go buy that. We didn't see a whole lot of shift. As a matter of fact, employers shied away from moving their employees into public exchanges because they didn't like the way it rolled out. And so we saw employers pulling back from thinking about the public exchanges for their employees. So what we saw was a shift of the individual insured market onto the public exchanges where they could get a better deal on the subsidy.
Right.
But that sounds like it's not effective, though. If you're not getting people who weren't insured before insured, do you think that changes with time?
Well, as our companies shift from B2B, business to business to consumer, one of the things we've learned about the consumers is they want more choice and flexibility. Employers offer you their health plan. You all have your health plans from CNBC, right? And you get how many choices?
I don't know. I'm with that.
2 or 3, right? And so somebody's either chronically insured or overinsured or underinsured. They're never really fully insured. But if I'm an individual and I know the kind of health care usage I'm going to have, the kind of doctors I go to, I want to find the policy that works for me. The public exchanges have 4 options. Okay, and so they don't have the chance to really shop. All they do is have an opportunity to shop for a better subsidy to get cheaper health.
Okay, so is it fundamentally broken, or is there a way to fix it?
I think there is a way to fix it. I think it's in place now. We have to move forward. And so I would say that we need more flexibility in the program, so we should have more options versus the 4 we have today.
Yeah, I mean, we
need more rating flexibility in the program than we have today.
You've seen the problem with what is it, 26% were young or whatever it is. It's a number that's not sustainable. The subsidies are going to be more than we thought. There's an economist that says it is currently in danger of collapsing under its own weight. How does this work out? It just is much more expensive. The government will bail out any insurance companies that can't.
Who likes buying health care insurance? Do you?
No.
I mean,
it needs to be sold, people think.
Right, well, yeah, it has to be sold. So it's not like I'm waiting on the edge of my chair for the website to come up so I can go shopping.
We need this to work in the next year, though, don't we?
So, yeah, we do need it to work. So what we need to do is make it simpler. We need to make it a lot more simpler for people. There needs to be more choice. And I think when you give more choice and you make it more of a market, you're going to get more people into the program.
So you think that'll work? You think they'll be able to do this?
Well, whether or not there's the political will to make the changes to the program without creating a food fight in Washington over what those changes are remains to be seen. And I think that's the next big step.
If it's not fixed, will there be a government bailout, though?
Well, the government, for us, it's 3% of our revenue, so it's not a big deal. Whether or not there's a government bailout because we lose some money on members is irrelevant to us from the standpoint of our earnings. The real issue is can we make this program grow, and will exchanges in the public sector grow? They're growing in the private sector.
If you lose money on it, though, will you stay in the program?
If we have to, our big question is May 15th, we have to submit rates for 2015.
Right. So will those rates go rapidly higher? Are they going to be double-digit, and are we going to get beat up because they're double-digit, or are we going to have to just pull out of the program? And those questions can't be answered until we see the population we have today, and we really don't have a good view on that.
And what is the dance going to be like? I assume there's going to be companies like yours that are going to, I don't want to say threaten, but suggest to Washington that you're going to get out of it. And then how's that going to change the dynamic? Right? That's how this is going to happen.
I think if we come forward with ways to make the program better and can see a line of sight that the program will be different in the future, then I think we invest for that future. If it's just more hammer and tong between the administration and Congress and the health plans, then I think it gets difficult.
So within 10 years, how much of the average health dollars is covered by corporations, and how much is either on the individual or on the government?
So I think the way the world's going to emerge is in 2020, 75 million people will be buying health care insurance as a consumer from exchanges.
Okay.
And some portion of that will be public exchanges, probably 25 million. The rest will be private exchanges. And I think the real question for us will be, we're going to have individuals buying health care with a subsidy from their government or a subsidy from their employer.
Okay.
And it's going to be a very different marketplace than the one we're in today.
The idea of double-digit increases come May 15th, is that a real possibility? Is that a 50-50 shot? What are the odds that we see those types of increases?
I can't tell you.
And how many people are going to be basically paying for incidental health care because they don't get anywhere near their $2,000 or $3,000 deductible? People are not going to be covered, basically. Yeah, they're not going to be. Most people are going to be paying their health care. They're paying out of pocket up to $3,000. And when's the last time? I mean, I had an emergency appendectomy. Other than that,
you're paying for everything.
I've never got the $3,000.
I did a couple of years ago for having a baby.
Well, that was your own fault, wasn't it? Exactly. I mean,
Mark, thank you so much for joining us today.
Have a great job.
Really great talking to you, and we will see you again.
Our CEO. It's a parade. It's a veritable parade in the mountains of Davos.